Hi and welcome or welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere. Today I'm here to do the mid-year freak-out tag. I feel like I do this so late every year, so I'm trying to be really on top of things this year, and I'm very excited to talk about the books I've read so far this year and what I really enjoyed and what I'm looking forward to and what I haven't read yet. So let's dive right in. I will try and link the original creator of this tag down below, but I can never remember who it is off the top of my head because so many of these videos get made every year, but I have a list of questions to answer, so let's dive right in. The first one is the best book I've read so far this year, which is usually a difficult question, but this year it is not because it's definitely Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I feel like this book has so much hype now, but I just absolutely love it, and to me it was personally worth the hype, although I read it before it was released and I just fell in love with this book in a way that I really didn't expect to, because I have read The Poppy World by R.F. Kuang and I didn't enjoy it as half as much as this. I still liked it, but it really wasn't my cup of tea specifically, and this was brilliant. I don't know how Rebecca, I don't know how Rebecca does it, writing different genres. I saw her in an interview recently at Hay Festival and she basically was talking about how she studies different genres and then writes in those genres, and this is just amazing. She said she read things like Gone Girl and Girl on the Train to prepare herself for writing this one, because it's kind of a literary fiction but also has crime thriller elements, and it's so interesting. It's following a person called Juniper who witnesses her friend Athena Liu dying, and when she witnesses her friend die she steals her manuscript and she ends up publishing that manuscript under her own name, and it's a racially ambiguous name and kind of character that she creates for herself to publish this book, which is about the unsung efforts of Chinese labourers to the British and French during World War One. And the story that plays out is insane and it's so clever and it's just addicting and brilliant, and I just could not put this down. I thought it was absolutely brilliant and it really hooked me, and I loved the way it talked about publishing. I thought it was so interesting and fascinating. So yeah, this one blew me away and is definitely my favourite book of the year so far. The next question is the best sequel you've read so far this year, and I have to say Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. I haven't really talked about these on my channel yet, but I'm literally just finished listening to the audiobooks of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, which I've been meaning to read for years because so many people have told me that it's amazing, and I loved the first book so much. I did enjoy the second one really, I enjoyed the second one a lot as well, and the third one was good, but the first one was absolutely brilliant and the second one was really good too. So I have only read a couple of sequels, so that one is definitely at the top. But the first book, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, it follows Pip Fitzamoby, who is a student in her last year of high school. She's doing this final project at school and she's basically told she can do anything. So she decides to research this closed case murder that happened in her town years before, and it's just brilliantly done, and the audiobook was amazing. Listening to the audiobook, because it's kind of written in mixed media and there's phone calls in there and things, I feel like the audiobook just did everything brilliantly, because it actually included the phone calls. It included them to the point of having dial tones and people in the background of the calls and a whole cast of narrators, and the second one had a full cast of narrators as well, which I just thought was really good, and I did really enjoy this series as a whole. I definitely still enjoyed the last one, even though I think it has quite a lot of critique, because it's quite far-fetched. The first and second are probably my favourites, but I have to say A Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson for this one. So the next question is a new release that you haven't read yet but you want to, and that's In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. I'm going to read you the synopsis for this because I always get confused, but this is by the same author as The House in the Cerulean Sea, which was my favourite book of 2020, and Under the Whispering Door, which I just absolutely loved as well. And this one is following Victor, who is a human looking after 3 robots, and they live in the branches of a tree. They live in a house, a tree house that's in this tree. Obviously it's a tree house. And anyway, he looks after these 3 robots. They are a pleasantly sadistic nurse, a small vacuum desperate for love and attention, and a fatherly inventor android named Giovanni Lawson. Together, they're a family hidden and safe. Then Victor, salvages an unfamiliar android labelled Hap. He learns that Hap and Giovanni share a dark past where they hunted humans, and Hap unwittingly gives away Gio's location. Before they know it, robots from Gio's former life arrive to capture and return the android to his old laboratory in the city of Electric Dreams. The rest of the unconventional family must travel across an unforgiving, otherworldly country to rescue Gio from decommissioning or worse, reprogramming. Along the way, Vic must decide if he can handle his feelings for Hap, even if they come with strings attached. This is the Fairyloot edition, which is absolutely beautiful, and I feel like I'm definitely going to love this, so I'm very excited to read this one. The next one is my most anticipated read from the second half of the year, and I had to choose Soulcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I feel like there's nothing in the second half of the year that I'm really excited for. I'm more apprehensive for them because one of them is A Curse for True Love, which is the 3rd book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, which I'm excited for, but I didn't love the 2nd book that much, so I'm apprehensive. But this one I have a proof of, and I am very excited to pick it up. It's chunky and it's daunting, but this is following 2 outcasts who have the power to change everything, but will they grasp the hand of destiny? Set in a vibrant city-state of Castellane, following a young orphan named Cal who is stolen from his old life to enter a new one of luxury and peril. He's to become Prince Connor Orlean's body double, shielding the prince from all dangers. As his sword catcher, he and Connor become close as brothers, yet Cal lives for one purpose: to die for Connor. Lynn Castor is an Askar physician, part of a community ostracised for its rare magical abilities, but events pull her and Cal together into the web of the mysterious ragpicker king who rules Castellane's criminal underworld. Together they'll discover an extraordinary conspiracy. Can forbidden love bring down a kingdom? And will their discoveries plunge their nation into war and the world into chaos? So this is Cassandra Clare's adult debut. Sounds like it's going to be quite different from anything else she's written, and I'm really excited to give it a go. And my favourite new author who is new to me or a debut author, I had to choose Emily Henry, who wrote Book Lovers, which I read recently. Not going to tell you about this right now because it's going to come up again in a bit, but yeah, I really liked this one. I'm really excited to read some other things that Emily Henry has written. I do have Happy Place on my TBR, which I'm hoping to read it fairly soon. The next one is Newest Fictional Crush, which I always struggle with because I don't really have fictional crushes on TV or anything, like in books. It's not really something I do, which I think is part of me being demisexual. But I've gone for the closest thing, which is Bingo Love by, I've forgotten the name of the author, T. Franklin? I'm just going to verify myself. Yeah, so it's by T. Franklin and illustrated by Jen St. Onge. And this is following a couple who met at church bingo in 1963, and it was love at first sight, but they were forced apart by families and society, and both married young men and had families. It's now decades later, and these 2 women are now in their mid-60s, and they reunite again at a church bingo hall and rediscover their love for one another. This is one of the most heartfelt, emotional books I think I've ever read. And it's just beautiful. I loved it so much, and I feel like it will stay with me for a long time, and I would happily reread it many times over, and it was just absolutely beautiful. And I feel like, even though it doesn't count as a fictional crush, I kind of feel like I'm crushing on the book. And also, like, just the love that these women have for each other was just so beautiful, and it really shone through the pages, so it felt like it fit this question. And I just wanted to have an excuse to talk about this book because it is beautiful, and please don't read it. The next question is a book that made you cry, and I was considering including Bingo Love in this question. However, I'm going to bring back Book Lovers. I haven't really had a book this year so far that's really made me cry. Not in like a sobbing way or like a proper cry, but this one actually did bring tears to my eye and maybe a little down my cheeks. I can't remember proper, but I listened to the audiobook of this and it just made me really emotional at the end, which I really didn't expect. But this one's following Nora, who is a cutthroat literary agent at the top of her game. Her whole life is books. Charlie is an editor with a gift for creating bestsellers and their work nemesis. So Nora has been through loads of breakups and her sister decides to take her away on holiday for a month to Sunshine Falls. She gets to Sunshine Falls and who does she bump into but Charlie? And this kind of follows on from there when they're both stuck in this town called Sunshine Falls, and I don't know why, I just really love this. It's quite predictable in some ways, it's quite cringy, but I'm a sucker for romance sometimes, and yeah, I really enjoyed this book, which is why I'm so excited to read more by Emily Henry. And at the end of this, I didn't expect to become so like tied up with the family and what was going on and the friendships, but I did, and I loved it, and I got really emotional and I didn't expect to. So Book Lovers by Emily Henry kind of made me cry. The next one is a book that made you happy, and I had to go for Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Again, this is one I just wanted to get on this list somewhere, and it also did make me quite emotional, but it made me more happy than anything else because this was so cozy and comfortable and just, yeah, it was just really familiar and warm, and it definitely made me really want to read, and it made me happy to be reading. You know, there's some books that just make you fall in love with reading all over again, and this is one of those books. It's following Viv, who is an orc barbarian who has come to the end of years of adventuring, being an orc and doing things that orcs do, and she settled down in this little town to open a coffee shop. She's come across coffee on her travels and she wants to introduce it to the world, she wants to introduce it to other people, and she's opening this coffee shop in a world where they don't really know what a coffee shop is and they don't know what coffee is, and she has to ask for help along the way from people that she's never met or never spoken to before, and she forms friendships, and it's just absolutely beautiful. I love the characters in this, I still think about them. I'm so excited for the second one, which is called, I can't remember what is it called? I was going to call it Bookshops and Broomsticks. It's Bookshops and Bone Dust, and it's the prequel to Legends and Lattes, and I'm very excited for that one as well, and I feel like it's going to have similar vibes. But yeah, if you're looking for something cozy and comfortable and warm and just makes you feel like you're being wrapped in a warm blanket, this is the one. The penultimate question is the most beautiful book you have purchased or received so far this year, and I've chosen 4 because I just had to choose this Illumicrate set of The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I love this set so much, it is just stunning. It has this wraparound sprayed edge that has a galaxy on it, which are different on every book, and they're simple in a way but they're just beautiful, and they have foiling on, and I just think it's really pretty. Like the text is like a holographic foiling, and then the stars are also foiled, as you can kind of see on this one. And I just think they're just stunning, and I just look at them a lot on my shelves and I just really love them. So I am choosing this set by Illumicrate, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. And last but not least, the final question is, which books do you want to read by the end of the year? So I thought about this one, and I've decided that there is a list of books that I really should read by the end of the year, and it's my self-destruct list, which is books that I will only keep on my TBR until April next year. So I have quite a lot of time to read these, but these are the ones that I really should be focusing on by the end of the year. There is obviously more that I want to read just because I want to read them by the end of the year, and there's obviously some releases that I'm looking forward to, but this is what I really should focus on, and this is the list that I need to keep coming back to. So it includes some books that I've already read, just a couple, but it also includes books like The Rose and the Dagger, which is the second Wrath and the Dawn book, Ready Player One, which has been on my shelves for years, Aurora Rising, which has been on my shelves for years, so is A Thousand Pieces of You, The Court of Miracles, Pumpkin, which is the third Dumpling book, The Cat and the City, which I feel like I've had forever, Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, Only Mostly Devastated, The Island Home, The Keeper of Night, and Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. So those are the books that I should be focusing on before the end of 2023, if I am sensible about this question. And that is all of the questions on this list, so I hope you've enjoyed listening to my answers. Let me know down below your favourite book of the year, your answers to any of these questions. I will, as I said, try and find the original creator of this tag and link it down below, but I hope you've enjoyed this video and I'll see you in another one. Bye.